Want to call the Village of North Hudson Planning Commission meeting to order.
You just introduce yourself. You're the
I'm Tim
chair that's
DeCicero.
sitting.
I'm acting chair tonight.
Roll call.
Okay.
Members Anderson,
Present.
Lockman,
Here.
DeCicero,
Here.
Howard, absent. Member Ryder,
Here.
Member Schneider,
Here.
Member Warner.
Here.
Okay. Approval of the January 17, 2024 meeting minutes. Get a second?
So move second, whatever it is.
Great. Comprehensive plan presentation.
You're gonna have to, if you want, to see if there's any discussion
Oh, I'm
or
sorry.
changes, and then people vote.
Oh, sorry. Any changes or discussion on the minutes of the last meeting? Okay.
No.
Nope.
And in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no.
In favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Okay. Comprehensive plan presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Plan Commission. My name is Mary McGurran. I'm a trustee for the Village of North Hudson, and I volunteered to come this evening and talk about municipal comprehensive planning. It's a interest of mine, and it's really important role that the Plan Commission and the board and the community have to help guide the work of our board and help guide planning. So I'm just going to launch in. I just did a little PowerPoint to try and give some background for decisions that the Plan Commission will be making regarding the comprehensive plan. So I'm going to talk about the requirements of a comprehensive plan, the definition of a comprehensive plan, talk a little bit about our current comprehensive plan, and resources for developing a comprehensive plan, and then what the next steps are. I'm not sure if anyone that's on the commission at this time was involved in our last comprehensive plan. Yay! All right, so help me out. You probably know more about it than I do, Jean.
Not doing it again. It took too many years.
It's been a while. And I actually made notes that I can't really see them. So I'm gonna just wing it here. And that's because of the way PowerPoint is set up. Susanna did a fabulous job loading this, and I appreciate it. So the comprehensive plan is required under Minnesota statute, and the statute number is referenced there.
I think it's Wisconsin.
I'm sorry, Wisconsin statute. You're right. It is. And the statute is referenced there, and the comprehensive plan is a guide to the physical, social, and economic development of a local government. And our attorney, Paul, can help me out here too if there's anything that you'd want to add to that. If I'm getting off track from my understanding, please let us know here. Okay. So the statute, Wisconsin statute, outlines the requirements of what need to be in a comprehensive plan. And that includes the issues and opportunities for the community, the status of housing, transportation, utilities, natural resources, economic development, intergovernmental cooperation and challenges with intergovernmental cooperation with our counties, with our local municipalities, et cetera, land use, and then how the comprehensive plan will be implemented. So every comprehensive plan in the state needs those elements to meet the statutory requirements. The comprehensive plan under Wisconsin Act 391 is required to be consistent with the mapping ordinances of the municipality, with local subdivision ordinances of the municipality, with the zoning for the village, and with shorelands or wetlands zoning definitions for the state. So it's really quite laid out as far as the parameters of the consistency with the existing ordinances and existing zoning requirements. Another requirement for a comprehensive plan is that the community is involved, and this is probably one of the most important components of the development of a comprehensive plan. And the community needs to be having diverse opportunities to give input into the plan, to shape the plan. They need to have an opportunity to comment on a draft before the draft plan is enacted. And there needs to be a minimum of one public hearing prior to the adoption of the comprehensive plan. And the St. Croix County recently updated their comprehensive plan. I don't know if anyone was following that, but they did these similar things for getting input. They had the University of Wisconsin River Falls do a survey. They didn't survey everyone, but they surveyed a sample of the residents. They had an open house to come and review the draft and have questions answered by the staff, et cetera. So all these things we actually just saw play out for the comprehensive plan for our larger community, for our county. And then the comprehensive plan is required to be updated no less than once every 10 years, and that the public is required to participate in that update. This is also part of the Wisconsin statute that was enacted in 2010. Like, there's little pieces that were put together with the comprehensive plan since it was initiated in 1999. And it says that if a town or a village, city or county enacts or amends an official mapping, subdivision, or zoning ordinance, the enactment or amendment must be consistent with the community's comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan is really a guide for the decisions that you're making and the decisions that we're making at the board. And that's a major purpose of it. So the benefits to having a comprehensive plan, why does the state require that we do this? Why are we gonna undertake this endeavor to update our existing plan, which I'll talk about in a minute, is the comprehensive plan helps the community to create its identity, to establish its goals and vision and values. And those are, again, what helps guide the Plan Commission, what helps guide parks, what helps guide the resource decisions that the board is making as they're budgeting. It also is useful for documenting historical trends in a community, to identify issues in the present conditions of a community, and to help the community to solidify their future initiatives. Another benefit of the comprehensive plan is that it establishes intergovernmental cooperation by helping the community really think about how its relationships are with its neighboring governments, with its neighboring communities, and what conflicts there may be, and how the community can plan to address or avoid conflicts, and how it can maximize cooperation within our neighboring communities. It also helps, as I mentioned, to guide planning, land use, zoning, and economic development. It helps the community to identify what the resources are in the community. What does the community want to protect? What's important to the community? And as I said, that's for guiding policy and budget, and it's also transparency to help the community understand what the municipality's goals are for land use and what our priorities are. So it's got a lot of benefits to our community to have a comprehensive plan that's publicly available. So this is our current cover of our comprehensive plan, and it's big. And Commissioner Schneider was involved. She knows it's big. It was a huge endeavor. And our comprehensive plan, as you'll see from the top, is from 2006 to 2026. So it's a 20-year comprehensive plan. We're closing in on the end of that. And it's going to take time to update that plan with all the requirements that are existing for the background that's necessary and for the community involvement that's needed to have a good comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan that we have was adopted by the board, but the Plan Commission really drove the work of the comprehensive plan in a lot of ways. And all the Plan Commission, if you've ever seen it, the Plan Commission is all listed in like page 2, page 3 of the comprehensive plan as integral stakeholders in the development. Our current comprehensive plan, so this is what's guiding our community right now, is a vision statement. And so this is something that we'll need to take a look at in the updated comprehensive plan and see if this is still the vision that guides our community, which is to create an environment where residents have a sense of community, they know their neighbors, and they volunteer for worthwhile causes and events, where residents respect and protect the environment, the air quality, water quality, natural beauty, and protect access to the natural environment by trails and paths so that the natural environment can be experienced by all. Where local, homegrown business add to the neighborhood economy and character. Where residents feel safe and enjoy the peace and tranquility of their neighborhoods. Where people take pride in community facilities and design. And I believe that this Village Hall was built after this comprehensive plan, and that was part of what came out of the comprehensive plan to help us to take pride in our community and have meeting places that were designed well for public participation, and where people are proud to live and call home. So it's a great vision, but it's time to take it out and see if this is still where we're at, what our priorities are for our vision. I thought this would be of interest. When the comprehensive plan was developed, the village residents were surveyed. What should the village look like in the next 10 to 20 years? And these were the top responses for what residents wanted the village to look like. And we're almost there. 2026 is the end. So this is what we wanted. A pedestrian-friendly village with trails, waterfront, and green space that was accessible for residents. Urban forestry, a mix of old and new trees, a clean river, shopping areas, and I'm sorry, I had a typo there, shopping areas where you want to go to, a small grocery store, which was a priority at the time, and that's something that obviously we don't have, but these are things that it's time to take out and look at. Maintain a level of safety. Government by wards at the time of the comprehensive plan, it was a priority that instead of having trustees elected at large, that the village went to trustees being elected by wards or by small areas within the community that represented a small area. So we need to take a look at, obviously we didn't go that direction, and see if that's still the direction that we want. Adequate municipal buildings that are aesthetically pleasing, which we have, great goal met, and maintain a rural intimate character of the community. So that's what the comprehensive plan was looking at. As we develop a new comprehensive plan, we're gonna have to see, where do we wanna go? What are the goals that we have for the community? Some other highlights from the plan. These are some of the action items that were in the plan, was to encourage development to blend with surrounding environment and minimize the impact on natural resources, protect the small town feel. Identify potential areas for a future village center, which as we said, we're sitting here. Encourage human scale retail and arts development. Promote walking and biking as ways of travel through the village. Maintain the safe feeling of our neighborhoods. You'll see these themes come through multiple times, from the vision to the goals to the highlights. Explore ways of minimizing local costs through shared regional services. Business involvement and volunteer partnerships. Improve the aesthetics of our community. Ensure a connected and practical transportation system that meets the needs of the residents. So you'll see that some of these highlights have been met and some of them have not. So when looking at that it being time for us to get our village plan updated, I did a little bit of research, reach out to see what I could find, and found that, and thanks to our attorney too, who helped us with this understanding, that St. Croix County Community Development is a resource. Our last plan was, we worked with Cedar Corps to develop the last plan. Mm-hmm. The St. Croix County Community Development is now assisting with this, and they will do pretty much the way that they're directed or requested by the board, as far as the level of engagement that we want as a community. Obviously, it costs money no matter who helps us to develop the plan, and how much investment, the level of involvement that we want or engagement with the community is gonna impact the cost. These are the ways that St. Croix County would help us with engagement: direct mailing, online survey, doing a project website, having a visioning session, and then also reviewing the plan, the required review before it's posted. They would also help with updating the existing plan, updating the demographics. There's very, very deep demographics in the plan regarding age of residents, housing, the economics of the community residents, the demography of the community, it's very, very deep. And so they would assist with updating that, and then updating all of the chapters or the points that are required elements of a plan. They estimate it would be $12,000 to $15,000, depending on the level of community engagement that we want, and the level of updating that's necessary for our plan. And they're working on a proposal for the village board with a timeline and a not-to-exceed cost. So the next steps would be for the Plan Commission to request action from the board to start the process to develop an updated plan for the board to budget and approve that. So we'll be starting our budgeting at the board shortly this fall, and we'll have that approved obviously before the next calendar year. And then the Plan Commission also should work to identify any issues that you would see as significant that should be incorporated and considered into the enactment of the plan, or the issues that need to be explored for the plan. And then community engagement would start once we had agreement with whoever was going to help us do the consultation to develop the plan, most likely St. Croix County. These are in your materials too. There's some other websites if you're interested in more information. The state of Wisconsin has information about developing comprehensive plans. St. Croix County Community Development has their plan online and some information about the process. Western Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission is another consultant that can help and has information on their website, and Cedar Corps as well has information on their website. Okay, that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, it was very good.
Yep. So I'd just like to say that, as Mary said, the board approves the plan, but really, it's the job of this plan commission to do the work, and to go through the process and develop the plan. So for you new folks, welcome, you're gonna get some work to do.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot
I
of
hate
work.
to tell you, it's a lot of work and a lot of hours.
But I would also say, I just went through this in another municipality where the county helped out, and I thought they did a great job. They got River Falls College involved, they have all the demographics, and they really, I don't know if I want to call it a system, but they've done a lot of these amendments recently, so they can really walk through and make the job a lot easier for the Plan Commission. And they provide a lot of support, so when it comes to the board, if anybody wants my recommendation, I would tell them certainly to hire somebody to help out with this process, because you don't want to undertake it without that.
We use Cedar Corp, but they did an awesome job.
Yeah, and I remember with the first go-around, Cedar Corp did a lot of those.
We also had a lot of free help from the University of Wisconsin, River Falls,
Yeah.
that did a lot of compiling and doing, so.
Do they use like market research classes to do a lot of that investigation?
They really take a lot of it off the last census,
Okay.
and that was pretty complete. And they'll take the data that was in the old plan and compare it to the new data that's out there, and update all that, all the graphs and the charts and things that are in there, as Mary said.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was very good. Next item is residents' request for revision of village ordinance, section 98-5, clarification for garage review and recommendation. Anybody here? Oh, is that you? Okay. And you want to just go to the microphone?
I'm Bob Bardiel. I brought this up because I was talking to the building inspector, and the word that is used is compatible in your definition of of a detached garage. And as far as the building inspector is concerned, the only thing that comes into play is the size of the building. It has to be 900 square feet or less. It has to be a wood structure of so many pieces of wood in there to make it not a pole barn. And my question was, why do you have the word compatible in your definition if it doesn't come into play with the building inspectors as to should a detached garage look like the existing structure that you have? Or should it be the same exact, or should it be compatible? And it's pretty vague, the word compatible. And so the building inspectors don't want to have to deal with that, and I totally understand that. But I kind of wanted the board to bring it up for discussion as to what did they originally mean by putting that word in there? And what do you think it should mean? That's the only reason I bring it up.
So obviously then the question is, what does the term compatible mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that's, do we have a definition, a legal definition of that we can share, or is that something that has to be defined?
Well, I think what he's asking for is a definition of compatible.
Yep.
Typically, if it's not defined specifically in the ordinance, you look at the dictionary. And
Okay.
What's the definition in the dictionary? I guess I didn't look it up before I came here, but
Able to exist together without conflict, consistent with one another.
good job.
So, fairly vague.
Yeah, exactly. And it refers to construction. So I guess my question is, do you want to see more pole barns put up in North Hudson? Basically, they're allowing pole barns because they're steel roofs, steel siding, and they consider that compatible. And so if you either want to continue doing that, or you need to make a definition that's clearer to the building inspectors as to what you mean by it.
Okay. So,
So when this came from the board, it started at the board level, and they kicked it to the plan commission to get input as to what the plan commission thought was needed, and if a change was needed, a suggestion that they could consider. So that's why we're here tonight with this.
Sure. If you want my suggestion, it would be, and I've talked to quite a few people, and if you go under Chat GPT and you can put it in context and all that stuff, and basically, I would go along with what that came out, that you'd either use the word the same, meaning if you have a house that's, for example, has siding on it and a roof that's shingled, and it's 2x4 construction every 16 inches on center, then I would consider that to be compatible if you built something similar construction. Now, similar or same, and if you went with same, then I think you should give the people in the village a right to go to your variance committees and say, well, we don't agree with that, and then you can let the variance decide, what's compatible, what's your definition. But right now, there's nothing stopping anybody from building anything in this community other than 900 square feet and a height restriction without going through a variance. And I guess, to me, that seems kind of open to whatever goals.
Well, as you have written here before, I'm reading a email here, but it says as the same as principal structure.
Yes.
So then I guess I would be relating that to compatible as mirroring the principal structure.
Exactly.
It's kind of how it reads off.
That's the way it was defined, but it's not followed by the building inspectors because it's too vague.
so the building inspector is reporting to you when you've asked for inspections or whatever the case may be, or questions on it, that he'll basically approve anything as long as it's 900 square feet and has 4 walls.
Yes.
Then I guess maybe the building inspector needs some direction.
Yeah.
Well, it's not their fault. I mean, it is vague, and I think if you just, I mean, you don't have to have the word compatible in there if you don't want. But when you have the word compatible, then that puts them in the middle between neighbors as to what's acceptable and what isn't. And it just seems like you could simplify it by either making it the same or get rid of the definition or remove the word compatible.
That's why I go back to the principal structure.
Yeah,
So if your principal structure is made out of steel, then I guess
Yeah.
the garage would be made out of steel.
exactly.
And if it was purple, principal structure was purple, then the garage could be purple. I would think that we would go with the aesthetics of what is the principal structure. And I bring up, again, mirroring the principal structure, that you couldn't be wildly out of design. Yes, it says 900 square feet, and there's the other things, but you wouldn't be able to change colors drastically, materials differently. I think it's more, that's how I would look at it, because I keep coming to, because we're tying in these words together in this sentence as principal structure. If we take it apart and we just try to find the definition of a single word and we're looking for that, but if we put the whole sentence together, I think we're figuring out what a definition is of compatible with principal structure. So I would see it would have to mirror it. I don't know if anybody else has an input or their thoughts on putting those words together in a full sentence.
Well, I'm on the same page as you. It should be, if the house has got 1x4 siding on it, or whatever the case may be, the garage should have 1x4 siding on it.
Right.
It should be matching the architecture of the principal residence.
Yeah, if it's shingled, it should be shingled versus a metal
Right,
or tin,
yeah.
you know.
I have a question. There are a lot of lots in North Hudson that are deep and go way back. A lot of them are more wooded. And if you don't see that, their house and garage right in front is the same. But if you have a lot that goes way back and you can't even see what the structure is, does that have to match your house in front?
Well, that's a valid question, but I think that it comes back to, I don't know if you said it or if he said it, or somebody said it, then they come back and ask for a variance to satisfy their architectural need, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that should be an option for people.
But
Yeah,
it should be an option. I mean, I
They
know
come for a
lots in
variance.
North Hudson that are very deep and have lots of trees.
across the street from you.
And it's very well hidden. He has a couple of different garages back there. You wouldn't even know they were there unless you looked, or winter, because they're more visible in the winter. And they look very nice. They're fine. They're well done. So I know there's other lots like that in this village.
Yeah. I think going forward, you wouldn't want to go retroactive on this at this point, you know, if you've already had the building permits given. I just thought about forward for somebody else coming up to get it clarified.
Okay.
I think that the definition that you proposed requires that everything be identical. to
Well,
the
I just
house.
put that out there. You could use similar or anything you want to put in there, but if you're not exacting on it, then again, the building inspectors aren't going to know what you want. You know, they deal in numbers of 900 square feet, stuff like this. They don't deal in, you know, compatible, right?
Yeah.
It's not a word they like to deal with, so totally understandable.
Okay. Anybody else have any suggestions?
I don't think we
I guess I don't have my notes from the previous meetings on this one.
I don't think there has been any.
There hasn't been
There
any
hasn't been any.
discussion of this.
Yeah, it's the
This is
first one.
First time
Okay.
we've brought it up.
I guess this is why we have these boards then, is if there is problems, then we need to address them. And I guess we're looking for more information of, is it a deep lot, is it not? Do we need to look at a variance or not? Proximity to the principal house location and everything else. I mean, you bring up a good point on these long lots or whatever else, and I guess there'd be more to be known about it.
Well, I think if we say, if you make it compatible with the primary residence, they can come and apply for a variance, correct?
Does compatible mean you have to have the exact same roof? You have to have the same roof line? You have to have, compatible mean, what do you mean by that?
Compatible has to go.
I mean, do you want
Valid argument.
another structure that looks exactly like the same? Do you need the same roof line for your garage? There's a lot of being compatible or similar. Somehow, I think somebody should research this a little bit and make some options before we vote on anything and decide what it's gonna be, than just to hurry-scurry in and make a,
I think your recommendation is laudable, and from the tenor of the board, it seems like people want to explore this further. I'm resistant to legislate anything from the floor. I think this demands some kind of additional inspection, examination. This can't be unique to our village, and I'm certain other villages throughout the state have such ordinances, and maybe we could explore that.
Sure.
And you may want to have input from the building inspector.
Yeah.
yes, I was gonna suggest the building inspector should have some say, since they've been inspecting for a while.
Good enough? Just thought, bring it up for discussion here, and that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect,
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Bob.
thanks.
So is there anyone that's going to follow up on this, or are we just going to make a blanket statement, we need more research?
Well, I'll be glad to contact the building inspector to get some feedback from him.
And do we want to look into other areas or other
Does anybody else want to try to look at other
villages? I don't
communities, see what
know.
they've offered?
suggesting?
Other community codes?
You don't want
Other community codes?
to? You have to have a code. So,
Here's something I don't know. I've only lived here, I've only owned a house here 9 years. As an example, if you go north on 10th Street where, what do you call it, built all those houses, do they have covenants and restrictions there as to what they can build?
No.
Okay.
To my knowledge, the covenants have been lifted because all the lots are sold or constructed.
Okay.
I had covenants where I live. They were never, ever enforced. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't, yeah. I
We
mean,
didn't have, they told me when I bought it that there was covenants and you had some association, and I never heard anything about that.
Okay.
So people just live like they live, and they're fine. I don't
Okay.
know that we have any ugly buildings or garages anywhere near us.
Yeah. Okay.
They're fairly common nowadays in new developments.
Yeah, Derek's project up there, past Alta, that's
That's
all.
one, yeah.
We have covenants.
This is the first place I lived where I didn't have a stack of covenants and
Yeah.
restrictions about that thick.
You know,
Okay. Well, I'll contact the building inspector. Did somebody gonna?
Maybe the building inspector would know of other communities that would be worth checking with.
most everybody around here has their ordinances online,
Okay. Okay.
and they're searchable.
Yeah, I found this one real easy on our website.
Just type in garage.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay,
We'll go to the next
so we're
item on
down
our
to-
sheet here.
we got 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's next?
Let's see, let me look here.
Number 5.
That's one we just did.
Oh, that's, well, we're done
Number
with
6.
5. Number 6. we're
Petition
to number
by
6.
Wendy Fritz and Peter Gartman, 613 Galahad Road, to vacate portion of Park Avenue North.
Which I couldn't find.
I'm gonna call my wife. She's in Florida working, but she'd like to be in attendance, so that's all right?
Yeah.
Figure? You there? Yes. All right. Good evening, and thank you very much for having us. My wife, Wendy Fritz, and I own the homes at 613 and at 609 Galahad Road. Wendy couldn't be here tonight, but she's on speaker. Say hi. Say hi.
Hello.
She wanted to make sure she was here so that she was being in attendance. So thank you for having us. Our lands are on Galahad Road. Our lands start at Galahad Road and run from Galahad all the way to the river, except for the 50 feet for the unimproved street. That's called Park Avenue. We have petitioned the Village of North Hudson to vacate, discontinue a portion of the Park Avenue. That lies between both of our properties. So basically, we own these two pieces and the roads in between. I'm sure you have it in your pamphlet. This vacation does not affect our neighbors, as the neighbors to the south have driveways coming off of Galahad Road, and they have been there for over 70 years, these driveways. The underlying lands of our petition encompass heavily vegetated areas with trees over 200 years old. I just got done here in the comprehensive plan talking about urban forestry, trying to keep that. That's what we're trying to do, trying to keep the urban forestry within that. Please note that our intent is to help preserve this area and remain old growth woods for property and keep it as is. Our hope is to keep the vegetative buffer for us and our neighbors in the town that travel down 3rd Street in Browns Beach. I have a little handout here.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe that's a better map.
This here is the original plat that was done in 1810, I believe, with all the roads that were done on it.
So there are existing properties that have already
Yes.
completed your request?
So everything in yellow has now been vacated as part of the vacation process. The only thing that is not yellow is still in place as a public road. If you look at the platted roads of the plat of Lakeside Edition, only Galahad Road and 3rd Street have been improved. So those are the only ones improved. The rest of these have not been improved. And they also are the only ones that are traveled and maintained by the Village of North Hudson. Please note that there's over 60% of unimproved roads within the Lakeside Edition that have been vacated, and those lands have become taxable lands. So now you can tax those lands. All we ask is that you treat us the same way as you have the previous people. Remember that this is just woods. There's nothing there. It's just huge 200-year trees. I'd also like to add that the overwhelming support surrounding the neighborhood to vacate the portion of Park Avenue, we have all the neighbors in support, except for a couple. We have collected and required the signatures of landowners covering 50% of the frontage property on Park Avenue. The state requirement is 30%, so we have surpassed that requirement by 20%. We couldn't get a couple of the owners because they weren't home. I got surprised on Monday about some kind of attorney letter that somebody withdrew their requirements. In 2011, hang on, I got one more exhibit here, which is very important. Thank you. This here is an as-built plan of the improvements that were done for sewer and water.
I got two of them. There you
And so I'd like to elaborate on that. In 2011, when the village decided to install the sewer and water project on the Galahad Road area, and it affected the entire neighborhood. One of those affected was Charles Roberts, the previous owner of the home we live in now. There was a decision to install sewer and water services to the neighbor, Charles Cudd, from 3rd Avenue to his property. The utility service travels through our land allowed by a utility easement and it was allowed by the previous owner, Charles Roberts. I contacted Mr. Roberts to find out why it didn't run down the road. Why wouldn't you put it down the dedicated road, right? Perfect place for it. And he said the reasoning with the location of the sewer and water was because they didn't want to cut down the trees.
Okay.
They want to keep the trees. And Mr. Cod wanted it closer to his house so it would be easier to connect to the sewer and water. That was what was told to me by Mr. Roberts. The property thus saving Mr. Cud money when he hooked up the services. This demonstrates that the village and Mr. Cud had no intent to utilize the road right away, and the intent was to preserve the trees. If you look at this diagram, this is our property here. This is the portion I'm trying to vacate. The services went here. Services to the north came off of and went north on Park Avenue. But this one did not. Typically demonstrating that the intent was to preserve this. To demonstrate our commitment to preserving the area in its natural state and proposing to divide 609 lands and add them to our 613, we are gonna do a certified survey map. I think that's on our next agenda. Do you guys have that?
I don't think so.
I don't know what it looks like.
It should be a,
Certified map right here.
yeah. So that's what we plan on doing when this is said and done, if we get it vacated.
Maybe it's picked.
So we're gonna take some of the lands from 609 and convert it with the dedicated road and make it all one big lot. It shows on that certified survey map.
So whose trailers are all those parked on where the park is now?
Those are mine.
You probably had a picture of me on your camera, because I knocked on your door with a bike. I was trying to find the road. I went over there looking for the road.
Okay,
I had it somewhere.
right. Those trailers lie within that utility easement.
The lath in the woods that's further to the east, is that the area that is actually the Park Avenue area?
Here's a picture. I went and took a picture.
There's actually a couple of lath there.
Yeah, it looks like it's marked out on my GPS. It shows that
Yeah,
there's lath in
right.
the woods there.
So if you went the opposite way,
Which this area isn't on Park Avenue. Park Avenue would be more east of there. In the woods, there's some lath that marks it off.
yeah.
Okay.
This would not be part of Park Avenue here.
Oh, I just saw the fire hydrants. I thought that was the corner.
No, that's not even close.
No.
Where you're looking at is the easement, where that is. That fire hydrant sits in that easement.
Okay.
I saw the fire hydrant. I never saw park.
I can help you out a little bit, Pete, if you want. I can show them an area.
Oh, that's fine. Huh? So the whole intent is to try and preserve the land the way it is.
This is what they're asking to be vacated,
Right.
is this section here. And then this is our driveway coming in. We go 280 feet before we get to our property. But, so actually, if you think of where that driveway is, if it just continued straight, that's where it would be. So Robert's garage was here, and that utility easement was here.
So the utility easement is probably right here then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then this is your driveway, right?
yeah, yeah.
Your
Well,
driveway
it's
is,
our driveway, but there's 4 houses off of it, okay?
Okay.
So it's a shared driveway, which I've wanted to get rid of for a long time, but that gives you an idea of where the Roberts garage is. The utility easement was here, and this is the vacated portion they're requesting.
your driveway access currently off of Galahad, though, on my GPS shows you're on Park Avenue.
We are on Park Avenue.
So-
I think that, I think
It maps-
that's cool. I feel a lot richer than I am.
Yeah. So, okay.
Can I see that, please, a little closer? I mean,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
can't see that far away.
There's the aerial. So here's Galahad.
Yep,
This is our driveway. 10
And
feet
this is
wide,
off again.
9'4", I measured it.
and this is off again.
Comes in here, goes back here. And then this is the portion they're asking to be vacated.
Chuck, can you sit down, please? I'd like to finish mine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
They were very interested in it.
You don't even own the property, just please sit down, I understand they're interested, and thank you very much for bringing it.
Was it
That's
helpful
fine.
or not?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
So
Well, you gave me
the whole point is, let me get back to my notes. The question is, will the village ever need and plan to build that street through? I mean, all the way through? Is there a plan, Kevin, to build that street through there?
Not that I'm aware.
Is there a need for it?
I mean, there is a need for the right of way, it's the lots to the south, if you
Right.
vacate that, the
They would still be
lots
serviced.
have to have
There's-
public access.
Right, they'd still have service, right?
Public access.
Right, correct. Okay. So the question is the neighborhood wants it vacated, so nothing goes through there. They want to keep it, the aesthetics of it as it is. You've made a precedent of vacating other properties. What he has is a 10-foot wide driveway. He says 9'6", but he has 50 feet of right-of-way to build a better driveway. They won't do it because the neighbor won't help him. He'd rather bust through the woods and have a separate driveway. That driveway's been there for 70 years. Get along with your neighbor and build a better driveway. You got plenty of room to build a good one. So what we're asking for is to vacate it so I don't have to deal with this anymore, and keep it the way it is. Again, the neighborhood wants to vacate it. They don't want another driveway in there. So that, I guess that's where we're at. Wendy, you have something to say?
No, I think you covered it very well. Thank you.
All
Thanks for the consideration.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
So there'll be no moving of utilities involved or nothing?
Nope, nothing. The easements stay, there, again, that was another thing. There's no utilities in there.
There's nothing.
The village should have, I mean, again, they had an opportunity to do stuff. Chuck, you own the lot out in front that you built your grandchildren. You could have built a driveway there, between the two houses. Why didn't you do that? If you wanted a separate driveway, why didn't you do
Let's
that?
not argue on this.
I'm just
one,
asking you a question.
But you have to direct it this way.
Yeah, I know. You're the one that hired attorneys and everything else, and I tried to deal with
I
you.
asked her to help me work through it.
Should we talk about?
I've got other things to do, Pete. This is your obsession. So, I'm not.
So, okay,
Okay.
Pete, are you done?
Yeah, like I said, he owned the lot out on Galahad Road. He built a house. He could have easily built a driveway between the two houses, and the grandkids go, I don't know why they didn't, but he didn't build it there. So I'm just saying.
We're not here to talk
That
about
doesn't, that's not part of this decision.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry about that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that is it Third Street? That goes down to the beach too, right?
All the way to the beach, yes.
And there's no
That's
parking
Third
on Galahad, right?
Right.
There's no parking on Galahad, right?
No.
So
Where do
if
the-
anybody wants to use that beach, where are they supposed to park
That's
their car?
exactly my question.
There is parking on Galahad.
No, there,
North side of Galahad.
Yeah, there's parking.
But there used to be a lot of parking.
Not on that south side, it's marked no parking.
You mean on Third Avenue?
Third,
Or on Galahad.
There's parking on Galahad Road, and there's parking on the north side of Third Street.
Yeah, people go.
There's
yeah, I know.
Third Avenue, there's a difference. I found that out between
Third
Third
Avenue.
Street
Yeah.
and Third Avenue. Because I looked all over for it. I spent an hour or better today looking for those streets. Because they're all different and foreign to me. And I've lived here 45 years.
I spent an hour over there on my bike riding around trying to figure this thing out.
Oh, we should have gone together.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bike. But
But you'd never find it because it's huge woods, big trees.
no, not that part, just
Oh.
the streets.
Well, I'm looking at the park. You got this beach down there with no
Yeah, and
parking.
there's no parking for people to use the beach.
It's always been like that, though.
But there's always been parking. My kids used to go down there. I know there was parking. We just
That's
parked on the
another reason to
road. That's
vacate the
before
road.
all the houses showed up. There was parking.
Thank you. Any questions for me? I mean,
So, I mean, if you want to save the trees, why vacate it?
why vacate it?
Yeah.
Because he wants to build a driveway.
Well, he hasn't been approved for a driveway through there.
Well, once again, if we encompass it all into one piece, then it's preserved. We don't have to worry about it.
And then you sell, and somebody takes the trees down.
There's always that chance. Like I said, you
Anyway.
made a precedent, you vacated all kinds of other things. There's no need for this street.
Why, we still have control of that. Nobody can take trees down unless the village decides to make a rule, if they wanted to.
Okay.
I think other
Yeah, I don't
people
think
want
anybody
to
come
talk.
in here to take trees
Yep.
down.
Like I said, there was a chance to utilize it and to, there's no reason for it. There's just none. So,
Can you
thank
put
you.
a covenant on that part you want vacated so that the trees cannot be cut down if you choose to sell your properties?
I would.
If there's some kind of covenant?
If you want to make that
No, I mean, that to me makes sense, because if you sell, the next person in there could do whatever they want with that vacated land. They don't, it's an easement, but,
That would be a requirement that we wouldn't cut the trees down in there.
so, I don't know how you do a covenant like that, but
Okay,
I've
so
heard of
we
them.
have others that want to talk, Kevin, I think, and we have some others that wanted to talk about the subject.
We have our driveway to talk about too.
Well, we're not to that one, that's another,
Yeah.
that's a waiting.
Any other discussion on this? Anyone wants to present?
I'd like this.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm Christy Ogland, and as Chuck said, I've been trying to help him navigate the legalities of what's facing you. I'm a lawyer in town. I've been lifelong resident of this community. I grew up in Hudson, so I've got not only legal experience, 40 years worth, but I've also got very practical experience as well. And I want to clarify a couple of things. Pete mentioned that the entire neighborhood is in favor of this. That's not true. I
I
have.
apologize. Can I ask a question? Who are you
I'm
representing?
representing Chuck Hud and Frankie Richardson.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What I'm passing out now is an analysis of who signed the petition. And I actually had submitted a couple of letters to you, and I realized, I apologize for this, it was within the last couple of days. There's various issues that surround this have come up. I just wanted to preserve the record, which is why I wrote the letters that I did. But what I just handed out to you is an analysis of the signatures on the petition that was submitted. It was also amended yesterday, I believe, or whatever what it is today. I don't even know, Thursday or Wednesday, Monday. But the original petition contained signatures of a Johnny Green, a Ryan Bruner, and Scott Snyder. And none of those signatures should be considered because none of those properties abut Park Avenue. So
Scott Snyder does.
Scott Snyder does not. He own,
That's your opinion.
Okay, let's not argue. Let her state her think, whether it's right or wrong. I think you guys should get together and figure it out and work out a compromise somehow.
I would have been happy to do that.
so if you look at the color code on the map, you'll be able to see what our position is. There are 2 new signatures that were obtained from Michelle Drebnick and Jimmy Olszewski, and they're also identified on this map. However, Michelle Drebnick and Jimmy Olszewski are not the owners of those 2 parcels. And if you have a strict compliance with the statute, you need the record owners. And the record owners are 617 Galahad Road LLC and Upper Ghost Lake Limited. So the petition, in my opinion, is defective. So I don't think it's even, it even can be considered because it doesn't have the requisite number of signatures. The other thing I wanted to point out on this map, Park Avenue is in yellow, and the area that we are talking about is this area right sort of at the top of this, what I'll call a kind of a block area. Nobody in this area is in favor of that. vacation, nobody.
Which area?
The area that contains the proposed vacation. So nobody is in favor of accepting petitioners. So I want to clarify that
That's all.
for the board. The petitioners are in favor of that, yes, but nobody else. So nobody signed the petition that lives in this area. And the other problem that I see with the petition, the way it was submitted, is this. Those owners that did sign the petition were given this map. This was what was attached. So the original petition included additional property that would abut Frankie and Chuck's property. They were not in favor of that. So the map eventually was revised, but the point I'm trying to make is that this is the map that was attached to the petition. So as they were gathering signatures, I think it would be fair to assume that those that signed that petition felt that, well, if other neighbors are in favor of it, specifically Frankie and Chuck, then there probably isn't a problem. But that is not the case. So I want to make that point very clear. And I know we're going to discuss.
I need to interject here. I changed the map after I talked to Chuck, before I got any more signatures. And they didn't want to get involved. So how do you know that's the truth?
So in the end,
Arbitrator. Original signatures,
Yeah,
they do.
they were visible.
That's fine, that's fine.
So you have no idea. You're making assumptions. You have no proof.
so we're going to also discuss this proposed CSM, the minor subdivision that they've also, it's a part of the agenda, and I can discuss that when we get to that point. But I do want to make another point. This is more than about preserving trees, and I think Ms. Schneider made a really good point. The trees will be preserved if that Park Avenue is left the way it is. You'll have control. The minute that is vacated, there is no more control on what can happen on that area, other than for street purposes. So that's really something to consider. But the other thing, the proposed map, it sounds like this is done just to enlarge, or just to enlarge the two existing properties, but that is not true. The red house that's on the corner on Galahad, that is going to be, for lack of a better word, it's going to be shrunk. It's going to be a much smaller lot now under this proposed map. So the 60 feet of that is going to go and attach to their existing property. So it's a complete reconfiguration. It's not an add-on parcel in the traditional sense. It's two brand-new lots. And the only way that it can be done is for Park Avenue to be vacated. So I urge you to look behind what's being said and what the facts really are here. But you've got control over Park Avenue now. That area of Park Avenue, north and south of Park Avenue, or east and west of Park Avenue, those people don't want it vacated, except for the petitioners.
Who's those people?
So I think the petition is defective. I think the signatures aren't there. This is a discretionary determination that can be made. So I'm hoping that you will consider all of the facts and circumstances, including this proposed certified survey map, so you have the whole picture of really what's going on here. Thank you, and if anybody has any questions.
No.
If we can attest to the accuracy of your statements, it seems to me we have no basis for taking any action because we don't have a valid petition, is what I'm understanding.
That's my position, and I think Paul maybe would want to comment on that as well, but that's a petition of Me and my client,
Well,
yes.
we've had some people withdraw their names, too.
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, it would seem to me that if the board wants to pursue this, we should table it and request people follow policy and procedure and produce an accurate petition.
I think that's,
I
I don't really want to.
Do you live here? Do you live in the city? Where do you live?
I live in Minneapolis and here on the weekend.
But you're not a resident?
And I talk to her. I have to put up with this.
Okay, I suggest that
I'm
we,
just saying, I don't really care about all of this.
I'd like to ask the attorney
I'm
if
just,
it's a valid petition.
Well, I guess, you know, the attorney made a couple good points. I think the original petition that was filed with the, if you do the math, because this is really, you know, this is really the area that you're talking about. You know, this property down here butts on, I think it's Second Street, because Park stops right here. So this is what you're talking about. And the original one with the one couple revoking their signature dropped below the requirement, because the requirement is you need both sides of the vacated portion, and you need over 30% of the land on either side within 2,650 feet. So this is about 1,000 feet of road. So you needed 30% of that. I mean, now it looks like they claim they have additional signatures and they're up over 500 feet. The other thing that, and I brought this up to the clerk, was that some of those lots on there aren't owned by individuals. They're owned by legal entities. So the petition has to be signed by a representative of the legal entity. If it's a company, if it's an LLC, if it's a trust. I don't know if these people have that authority or not. They may, and everything may be fine. You know, the other thing to point out is that this is totally discretionary for the village. You don't have to vacate it if you don't want to. If you think that there's a potential use for this down the road, or there's an advantage of keeping that right away there for some reason, you don't. On the other hand, you can. And the board, I think, you know, would appreciate a recommendation at some point. If, you know, if you're not ready to act on it, you don't have to. You can put it off and ask for more information regarding the petition or whatever. And I think if you're gonna do that, you know, the petition and the vacation is driving this whole thing. If the petition doesn't go through, the CSM, there's no sense talking about the CSM, and there's no sense talking about the driveway.
this is Third Avenue.
Sure, you can talk about the driveway.
Well, I don't think it's appropriate to talk about the driveway, because that's tied in with this whole thing.
Well, if you don't approve it and don't recommend it, then you might as well talk about the driveway because it's still a road and he wants to put a driveway down a public street.
Which I don't agree
It's
with.
going down a public street now.
What do you want? Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a bad idea.
And
I would like to talk about the driveway.
Let me just, can I ask you a question on this? So how do we validate if, okay, you made a good point that these are owned by legal entities, and how do we know those are representatives of legal entities? How do we validate that the information on the petition is valid, is legitimate?
well, we're assuming it is, but we don't have that documentation. You'd have to.
I'm not forging signatures.
Can I take over for Christina to comment on their application?
Go ahead, if she wants to comment. Yeah, go up, please.
Yeah, refreshing.
Yeah, go to the.
You have to go to the
mic.
stand. She has to go away.
Okay, I'm Michelle Drevnick. I actually live at 539 Galahad Road, but I own 617 Galahad Road. It used to be my mother's house, Genevieve Hafner, and I own the house now, but we titled it for, I guess, for purposes of legal things and for my trust. We titled it 617 Galahad LLC.
Yep.
But anyway, I own that house myself, just me. I am 617 Galahad LLC.
And you signed the petition.
And I signed the petition as Michelle Drevnik.
And I know you. I
Yeah.
believe you.
Right. Right. Well, it says, if I recall, it says your name and your signature.
Yeah?
So that's what I put.
Thank you. So I have one comment on their application, and then
Go ahead.
talk to the driver about the
Driveway's a separate situation, right? That's, but the driveway.
I'm Charles Cudd. I'm actually representing Frankie Richardson, who's my ex. She used to be my ex, but we've been back together for quite a few years, so now she's my ex. So we're on TV. Now I got to talk about this stuff in front of the world. But anyway, I just wanted to say that Pete and Wendy have known for a long time what my position was on vacating the street because I did want to put a driveway in there. We talked about it last year. They asked if we would join them in that. I said, no, I want to maintain our option to do that. We were divorced in '96. It never got done, okay, be honest with you. I met with Gary Zappa last year to actually put the driveway in, and Gary was, as he always is, he was so insanely busy, he just didn't get to it. But he said, Chuck, you don't have to worry about it. You've got the absolute right to put a driveway in here anytime you want. Now, obviously, that was his opinion, but he does know a lot about the workings of things. So, but the application is being made to create 2 new lots, okay? It's not being made to preserve trees. You can couch it in that, and it sounds wonderful. But they're creating a brand-new lot. They're taking 1 lot and creating 2. And they would only have 60 feet to create the second lot with unless they got the vacation accomplished. And then they could take 30 feet of that vacation and add it to their 60 feet, and then they would have a compliant lot. They can't do a minor subdivision without, and create a lot that doesn't comply with the ordinance. So they actually need the vacation to create another lot, which is of value, considerable value to them, and it precludes us from ever fixing this driveway situation, which we've put up with for many, many years. So, so I can sit down and then come back and talk a little bit more about the driveway. But this is, we just have to be clear. They're trying to create 2 new lots. I don't think that the first lot where the red house is, if that was a new lot, it doesn't comply with any of the setbacks. Okay, so you'd need variances to do this. I can show you where the variances are, or what would be needed, so that he should have to file that if he wants to create 2 new lots. And then you should really decide, is that to take away our right to take a short route out to 3rd Avenue with a nondescript driveway. You couldn't even, until Alex and Cullen built on the corner of Galahad there, you couldn't even hardly see our driveway as you drove in. So it isn't like it's an eyesore to people. It would be buried in the trees. There's people, the Mitchells come off of Park Avenue right now. They're not, but just to be clear on their app, this isn't about trees. This is about creating 2 new lots. And both of them have to comply with the setbacks. And they're both corner lots.
I need to review
So,
this.
well,
Was that
no,
yours,
just,
Dave?
Okay.
I have to, because this is
Okay, a little bit, but
That's
this
your
is
side.
going on forever.
This is insane.
Have you reiterated?
Do you see how many, there's 2 lots right now. How many lots am I proposing?
2 lots.
2 lots. I don't know his math. I don't know where we're getting an extra one, but his math is pretty bad. But we have 2. We're proposing 2.
and maybe I can put an end to this business.
Thank you.
So there's 2 lots. There's a public road in the middle. What happens when you vacate that public road, half of that land is gonna go to each lot. Then if you, adjoining lot owners can change their boundary line between lots.
As
So you're
long
not-
as the remnant lot still complies with the
And
ordinance.
there's, and I
it
think
will.
that, I think the ordinance says it has to be 10,000 square feet.
And 90 feet at the front.
And there's gotta be 30 feet of setback on both.
Well, no,
Sides.
because that house is there.
Yeah,
That's
but
pre-existing.
with a brand new lot, that's a brand new, it's all wide open and has.
Right, it is.
And may I-
Push that issue,
Okay.
I'm just-
I just want to add one more thing. This is it.
It's two new lots.
Okay, they keep trying to tell me I'm gonna put a new lot and the house is in there and everything else. I promised everybody that signed that petition, I would not divide that land.
What was that?
I promised everybody that signed that petition, I would not divide that land. Because that was the agreement.
Well, can you give me an easement on the, for a nondescript driveway going out to Park Avenue, for a driveway? On the far, that way you could carve off that lot someday. Last time we met on this, they came over and asked if we would join. I said, I don't want to lose the option to go to Park Avenue. He says, we'll never allow that. The conversation didn't go very long. But if he just would give us a 20-foot easement on the west side of the vacated street, just for the driveway, they'd pick up their 30 feet, they'd have a 90-foot lot, there'd be a reasonable compromise, they'd still be creating the,
Do you truly believe we built the house to have somebody drive in front of our house, back and forth? Do you really think that's what we want to do?
Let's get this done with.
So anyways-
This is-
I say, excuse me, I think we need to table this until,
Put that driveway through.
let's make
You
a,
have a driveway to your existing house, it's been there for many years, it has served that house. You just can't decide you're gonna move your driveway and through a public right-of-way. You can't do that. You don't have that absolute
Can I
right,
address the driveway?
and that's what you're, I think, implying here.
can I address the driveway?
I've seen the driveway, it's there, it's been there a long time.
Okay, I was on the agenda, though, to address the
So,
driveway.
well, we
I
are,
think we need a motion.
Yes, we're on the same topic as we were 20 minutes ago.
I
And this
make
is
a
like two
motion
separate
that we
things.
table this to another meeting.
Yes.
When we have more
Information and details.
information that's
Can-
detailed.
Can we just do
without
one more thing?
Sure.
Kevin came here,
Oh, I'm sorry,
I
Kevin.
think, did you come here to talk about this, or something else?
I'd like him to talk about it.
Just, I'm basically here to answer any questions that
Okay, I thought maybe you had a reason other than this
Can I ask you a
came in
question?
here.
Does,
Well, no.
No, not now.
If we're gonna table it, we're gonna
We're gonna
table it.
table it, you
Yeah.
guys can see what you can do, and come back to the next meeting and with more specific information, other than I want this and I want that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how it's gonna work out.
And then
but-
go to the board.
This is, pardon me?
I'd rather have a vote and go to the board.
Well, we're not having a vote tonight, we're tabling it.
Yeah.
Do we want to see an updated petition then? Or what are we looking at that then?
Well, I'm assuming that this is the current
So
petition.
that's current, that one is the current one without the people withdrawing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't understand, like, can't we just have a vote one way or another?
It's not up
I don't
to
care
me.
if it turns down. I'm going to the board, and if it gets turned down there, then we'll just go back again some other time. Because if we go to the board, I'm gonna have 15 people back here helping me.
Well, that doesn't matter, you have to go through this, and then we present it to the board. That's what this place is for.
The
We need,
signatures are valid. The whole thing is valid.
okay, we just need more information without so many arguments. You state yours, we listen to both sides, then we have a discussion, and we make a decision. But all we've had here today is this stuff. And I don't have time to spend my whole night listening to you two argue. So I'm sorry, but patience runs slow. Just get your facts in order, present just your facts, not your feelings.
I'd like to
Next
move the
meeting.
motion before us.
I made the
Motion
motion.
is to table.
She made the motion.
I'm
made the
moving the
motion.
motion, which I'm urging us to vote, is what I'm doing
Who
by
made a
doing that.
second?
I'll second it.
I didn't hear what you said,
He made a motion to vote.
to vote on this.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we have a motion and we have a second. there's no more discussion, we can vote.
So how do we do this?
Just, you can say, everyone in favor of the motion to table, say aye, opposed, nay.
Okay, all in favor of tabling it, say aye.
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 Tabling it, or,
Opposed.
opposed? Okay,
Motion passes.
so
Can I speak to the driveway then?
that's the next item on the agenda.
That's the next item.
That's the CSM, I think.
Oh, see us,
I would,
let's see.
I would table
is
that
it?
as well.
So this was 6.
We're on 7.
I know.
I think we've already heard 7.
This is very unusual in a city to have a city street with, there's essentially 4 properties on a private driveway. Private driveways, I think you guys, when you're approving subdivisions and everything else, you try and avoid them. Frankie is the only full-time resident back there. So it's 280 feet from Galahad Road to get to her property. But she doesn't have the option when the trees fall over on there. She has to cut the trees out. She has to get rid of the debris. And we have to keep the streets plowed. And whether Furlongs, who are really nice neighbors, but it's a family, old Doc Furlong passed away, but it's a cabin for them. Schneider's on the other side have a shed. They don't use it very often. It was put up by the previous owners, but they still use that driveway. Cullen and Alex, that's our granddaughter, and they don't use it. But there are 4 properties off of a 9-foot gravel road that the entire burden of that falls on us. The city's never helped us with that road. It's a city street. This year, for the first time, and that's thanks to Marty Furlong, he called when we had the big storm and a bunch of trees blew in. And the city said, well, that's you guys' problem. Marty said, well, it's a city street. And they came out, and it was quite fabulous. So if we could talk about either an access, I just want to get out from under that. It's not a good situation for resale for us. Nobody wants to we don't have a defined agreement on how to maintain that driveway. Even though there's 4 separate properties that can utilize that driveway, we have no agreement. The city never required anything. But there's only one person that lives there year round, and that's Frankie, well, and our other granddaughter in the cottage. So it's a mess, and we'd like to clean it up. And maybe there's a way that we could clean up the existing driveway and asphalt it, and maybe the city would then take over plowing it for us and doing that. And then Pete and Wendy could have their thing. We wouldn't have to go out to park. But it's a mess, and I don't think it's something that should be just, you want this, you want that. It's actually from the city. It's a unique situation. You would never approve a plat. Here, let's just think about it. Wendy and Pete vacate their property, and somebody comes to you with that plat and shows 4 houses on a 10-foot driveway, and you're going to share it, and there's no requirement for any of them to maintain it or do anything, and you'd laugh the developer out of the room. You'd say, we're not going to approve that. And so when we contend with it, just allow it to not be addressed, and essentially it's giving tacit approval to how it currently is. And I'd like to get it fixed. I intended to get it fixed last year. I guarantee, yes, I agree with the city attorney. We don't have the right to do it. Gary said, no, you have the right. I'm quoting him. He doesn't have the say-so, so I agree with that. But had we come with a driveway application last year, we would have a driveway out there. I am quite sure. I don't think anybody here would have turned it down. And it's not very wide, and it would be very unnoticeable. And there's multiple driveways off of Park Avenue right now. So it isn't like we're doing this completely out of character thing for the neighborhood. And so I agree with Pete and Wendy. I don't want a big wide street in there where we invite more parking for the beach, you know? And the beach is a blessing for the city. It's a bit of a burden for the owners, but overall, we love Browns Beach. So I had a lot of fun with my grandkids there over the years. But it's not a good situation. So when you just say, well, this is what you want or you want, the city needs to clean this up. There's 4 properties on a
So
nine
why
and a half foot gravel road.
go talk to your neighbors and come up with a maintenance agreement.
Yeah.
Well, they're seasonal. They don't want to do
Okay, so-
anything.
So then you're really the only one using it. So then that maintenance falls on you.
It does, yeah.
Yep.
So I'd like to,
So you just want a shorter driveway?
Basically.
well, I've got 280 feet in a city street to get to our house. Okay? Yeah, so there's a driveway on there, that's a city street. There's 280 feet and the city doesn't take care of it. And I'm just saying, would the city look at something as far as an agreement? I mean, I'm even willing to pay for the asphalting of it back to Galahad if the city would agree to plow it for us and just do something in there. But right now, it's a mess. And my solution was to go to Park Avenue. That's a very short 130-foot run to get to our property, and then we would be the only ones using that. And it would clean the whole problem up for us. And but it's not just our problem. It's you have a city street, and the city doesn't take care of it. And I'm not saying they should. I'd like to abandon it and go to Park Avenue. And we could take an easement from Pete and Wendy for the west end, sneak a driveway in there, and then we could get rid of it. So there's multiple ways that potentially we could address this thing, but I just haven't had the audience to be able to do it with Pete. So,
Okay.
was this mine? Yeah. Huh? I should have had some, I got dry lips, so.
Anyone else got any other comments they'd like to present?
If I could say something, I'd just like to, oh, I'm sorry.
Just go up and-
Oh,
You need
I
to,
would just like to invite any of you to come out and take a look at the situation if you'd like, at any time. You know, if it makes things clearer to you. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sick, I don't want to be arguing with our neighbors.
I just don't understand, the driveway's been there for 70 years. Been servicing 2 old cabins, it's been there forever, been getting along perfect. Because they don't maintain it. And he's the only one back, they're the only ones back there that would actually use it. And now they want to pop one in through the woods in front of our house.
And have an asphalt.
That's what drove this petition to vacate it, was because,
By the way, the village recommended that we submit for the driveway thing. I got wind back that said, well, isn't that convenient that we're doing that, to harass that? No, I met with them, and they said, well, the village needs to understand that you want to put a driveway there. So they should have access to that, because I wanted to do it for a while, and I intended to do it last year, so.
Okay. Okay.
This wasn't done in response to Pete and Wendy's thing. The urgency cracked out.
Okay. We need a motion to do this?
a motion? I think we need to find out more about how much of the city street is, since I couldn't even find Park Avenue or,
Here's a picture.
I don't, there's a picture, but
I went and took pictures of it.
There's his driveway there.
Yeah.
you saw that, I didn't see the pictures.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make a decision when we have,
It's almost why I believe that maybe this should be tabled too, since it's so interjecting. In my opinion, I see 2 sides of this. I see that this is a old antiquated road.
Yeah.
So I could say, oh, okay, we could vacate. But then I also see it at the other point is, this is something that maybe we have forgotten about in North Hudson, and maybe this should be developed in lieu of fire and safety. So if we've got fire hydrants back there and everything else, but how do we get access when there's a fire there?
Off of Third Street, or off of Third Avenue.
Correct. Now, if we start looking into what space we need to bring in fire trucks, pump trucks, how do we get through?
I think
Where do
we're
we
okay.
back up?
I think we're okay.
I understand you have an opinion. Now it's my turn to talk, and I'm talking with the board
I
right
thought
now.
you were
And you're
asking-
here to listen.
I
Thank
thought
you.
you were asking that question.
There's where the fire hydrant
No,
is.
if any question, I will address you. Thank you.
There's where the fire hydrant is.
Right.
I know.
And if we start looking at what's code and what we need to bring in pump trucks and fire trucks, I believe this is maybe where we need to take a look at this then, because if anything happens in this, on this bluff town here, we don't have any accessibility on anything from the water. Everything comes from here in town. And if we can't get trucks in and trucks out in a timely fashion, and this comes up when we're planning these community, new developments and everything else, I think maybe this is something also the board, as the planning commission, we should at least entertain then.
Yeah, you know, and these riverway lots and these old cabins, you know, probably wouldn't be built like they were today. You look all up and down the river, there's these private drives going down servicing, you know, everything.
Tiny roads,
They're
right.
just, you never get a fire truck or an ambulance. It's just the way things built historically.
But we have an option here.
Yeah.
Well,
Something to
putting,
consider now that
putting
we're
in a
brought-
road, tarring it, would be an expense to the village if
Yes.
it's on village property.
Right.
And the village, is my opinion right now, doesn't have a whole lot of money. So I'd be not a whole lot in favor of saying we have to do this much of the road and then you do the rest.
I'm just bringing these up. These
Yeah,
are
I know,
options
but
that
I
come to
just-
light and how we can look at them from
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
angles and how we should be seeing
I
it.
just,
Not saying that it's a way to go, but there should be other ways that we should be looking at it
Yeah.
in a
I
full
don't think I
sphere.
could make a decision tonight on it.
You need to make a
So it's
motion to
tabled.
Shelve this too.
I would shelve all three of them.
I apologize, I'm new to this.
So we didn't do anything on the certified survey map.
Okay, that's this one.
Yeah, so the driveway, I don't know if it was an action item or we were just talking about it.
Discussion only. All of them are discussion only.
Oh, they're all discussion only, then we don't have to make any decisions. All right, perfect.
Okay,
And I think we've talked about this utility, basically, when we talked about,
yeah, that's what we're talking about now,
yeah.
the driveway permit. But you know, you can table it if you'd like to.
I move that we table it.
I'll second it.
Table
Vote.
both the discussion on the CSM and driveway both.
Yeah.
Is that part of the motion?
Yeah. We gotta take a vote, right?
Yeah.
All in favor of tabling it, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And that was both 7 and
7 and 8.
7.
Yep. Told you. Come on.
So I think for the sake of the people that came, if the board, if you have any additional information or anything that you would like to see from them in the future, you know, so to help you make a decision, now would be the time to give them some instruction along those lines.
So from a legal aspect, is there anything else that needs to come in addition to the signatures that we have?
Yeah, if we're looking at this. The only thing in the petition would just be to verify that the proper owner signed it. I think there's enough frontage,
Right, we
just
got
from
the
looking
one.
at it, that that's not gonna be an issue. So,
Okay, and one question I have for you, can I ask you questions?
yeah,
So when you talked about when they vacate that half it goes to one property owner, and the other half goes to the other property owner,
Yep,
correct?
yep.
So if this was vacated, half would go to their existing property where their home is, and the other half would go to the lot on the corner?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, this gentleman made the comment that then potentially turns this into 2 lots because of the square footage that's added.
No, it's not a separate lot. It'll become part of that existing lot.
Pete, or Paul, that's not correct. The proposal before the board is 2 new lots.
Yeah, and I didn't take a lot of time to
I
look
know,
through
I
that
know.
CSM, because if the petition doesn't happen, the CSM's out the window, so I didn't spend time looking at that. But that's, the way the statute works is that it goes half and half.
Okay.
So it's not, the vacation of the road doesn't create a subdivision or anything like that. It's just absorbed into those lots. And the new description will be lot 4 plus half of vacated Park Avenue.
Okay.
Or whatever lot number it is there.
Okay. And can the person that so if half goes here, half goes here,
Yeah.
one party can't agree to give the other party the whole vacated area, can they?
Well, originally it would go half and half. And then the parties, the 2 adjoining lot owners, can make a deal to transfer how they want to transfer back and forth.
So if the same party owns both properties,
It makes it easier.
so then in theory, okay, I understand.
There's a reason why we bought the house, so we could, hopefully to control that area, so then we would build and do something and destroy the woods. Once again, we're looking for privacy. That was the reason why we purchased the house. That was it. So we'd have privacy.
So if everything is shelved and nothing happens, you maintain your privacy.
Not if you build a driveway,
Okay.
once again.
Well, they don't have to grant
So-
the driveway.
So everything is tabled right now.
Yeah,
So we're not discussing anymore.
okay.
No,
So
we're
we
not.
move on to the next item.
Thank
Which
you.
is routine business.
So is there any announcements or anything that members have?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll second.
Thanks.
That she gets all of this.
Thank you.